Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going back to our roots with a Redragon mechanical keyboard review. It's what we started with. It's because that's what we could afford at the time. And today we have the Redragon K530 Draconic in the white colorway with Oetemu or Redragon brown switches. And this keyboard really exceeded my expectations. I didn't know what to expect, but my previous experiences with Redragon is that they're more on the budget side and you have to make a lot of sacrifices in terms of features, qualities, things like that to get that price down low. So this is a 60% Bluetooth hot-swappable mechanical keyboard. Let's jump into it. So what's in the box? First we have a Redragon sticker. If you want to rep Redragon, that's how you do it. It's a very cool logo that they have. You get the manual, you get a switch puller, although I don't recommend using this if you want to switch switches a bunch of times because it's not really convenient and easy to use. I recommend the green one that we have that we link down below in the description box. And then the keycap puller is a wired one. This is great since you won't scratch your keycaps when you're changing that up. It also comes with an L-shaped USB-C cable. It's rubber, not braided, nothing special. And then as a bonus, you also get an assortment of Redragon branded switches so that you can try them all out. So we have the Redragon blue, red, brown, and black to pick from. Pretty convenient, pretty cool. All right, so on to the review. First we have the back. And there are two single angle adjustable kickstands here. They're quite rubberized, and that's because we only have two rubber feet that are dedicated as feet. And then the kickstand rubber acts as the other 2 feet to keep that really in place as you're gaming. It's really non-stick and it doesn't really move around from what I've seen. However, I don't really use the kickstands because the angle of the keyboard is pretty good already. So from the side, you might think that it's a little bit tall, and I definitely agree with that. It does look tall. However, I don't find myself using a wrist rest when I type on keyboards of this height. If you think it's too tall, you can get a wrist rest, or you can change the keycaps to a lower profile keycap set. It's all up to you. On the side here, we see that we have the USB-C port, and then we also have 2 other slide toggles. The first one is an on-off switch, and this will turn on the battery and wireless mode essentially. And then the second one, we have Bluetooth 1, 2, and 3. So instead of holding FN and QWE or 1, 2, 3 or whatever to connect between different Bluetooth devices, you just toggle this. And this makes it easier for me personally because I know 100% which Bluetooth device I'm on. And then when you're connected, this will be green at first and then it'll just turn off. If there's a problem, it will blink red, and then there's another one to indicate how much battery life is left on the board. So all very convenient. The only thing that I don't like is that this USB-C port is on the left. I would have preferred it on the top left or the top right. Ideally, the top left is my preferred position, and that way I can use a whole assortment of USB-C cables rather than one that ends in a right angle like the one they give you. Also, the cable that they give you is relatively short. So if you have a computer that sits far away from your keyboard, then you're going to have to change USB-C cables. I think their intention was that it would be more of a charging cable rather than a cable that you use all the time with your keyboard. So the keyboard itself, it feels very sturdy. The case is all plastic, except there is an aluminum top plate at the top where these switches are mounted to. It's really heavy at 607 grams. That's also 21-ish ounces. That's a pound and some more ounces. Sits on the table, looks really nice with a white mouse like the one that I have. And that's the Cooler Master MM711. I'll link that to a review that I did right here. And from the side, you can see that these are OEM profile keycaps. What I really like about them is that they're very unique with the way they look. The tops are textured and feel like PBT keycaps, which I'm going to assume they are. Redragon doesn't say much about the material of their keycaps, but they're pretty oil resistant from what I've seen. And then the sides are glossy, and that really gives a nice accent to the keyboard and the keycaps with certain lighting. So you'll see the reflection of light on the glossiness, but then the tops are textured and matte, so you won't see any of that. The legends I'm okay with. They're not to die for. They still have some separations in the connected letters and numbers such as O, B, D, Q, 0, 9, 8, etc. So if that bugs you, then this might not be the board for you, but you can always change out the keycaps to something else later on. This board is relatively affordable, so you can tack on some nice keycaps that cost a little bit more on top of it, and you'll have something special on your desk. All right, so the keycaps. Like we said, they're glossy and matte. The sub-legends are either printed below the primary legends or they're printed on the side. As you can see, the arrow keys are on WASD, and then there's the function row on the top, and then the navigational cluster on the right side. The keycaps feel really premium. They're thick. They're 1.3 millimeter walls of each keycap, which is quite hefty. And overall, I just really like what they're doing with the keycaps in general. It looks and feels really good. And then there's something called the Magic FN feature that they have. I found that it only works in Bluetooth mode and it doesn't work in wireless mode. What the Magic FN is that if you want to use the arrow keys with just one hand, then you hold down caps lock. And then if you use the arrow keys on WASD, it will register those as arrow keys, compared to if you press caps lock once, then it turns on caps lock. But in this, you're holding it. So instead of holding FN here on the right side, you just hold caps lock. So it's really convenient, really quick way to access those arrow keys without having to worry, oh no, where's my right hand going? Now for the RGB, these are double shot shine through PBT keycaps, so the lights do shine through very nicely. To change the colors, you're going to hold FN2, which is also the menu key, and 9. So there's different colors to go through. We'll go over them right now. And there's the spectrum cycling, there's a white, there's a rainbow breathing, a rainbow static, rainbow wave, there's a wave in the change. I'm just making up names clearly. There's a waterfall, there's a random one, there's a rainfall, there's all pink, and then there's some more too. Unfortunately, there's no per key RGB editing, not even with the software. But with the presets that are in here, there's probably enough for something that matches your setup. I really like the white, the all white, and then I also really like the static rainbow as well. So the software, it looks a little bit jank when you download it because it's asking you, because your computer says that it's bad for you or whatever, but it's okay. I've tried it, didn't get any viruses, thank goodness. But you can remap the keys, you can record macros. It's really easy to use. You can edit the lighting effects, but there's no per key RGB editing. So it's good and bad, I suppose, but it's really easy to use. And these switches, they're Redragon-branded, but they appear to be Oetemu switches. They're very similar to Oetemu switches. They're the box shape and they have the same overall look. And the hot-swappable sockets, I believe, are Oetemu because I tried putting a Novel Keys cream in there and it did not fit. So these sockets are a little bit too small, and that's one of the characteristics of Oetemu hot swap sockets. So the switches are a little bit hard to remove from the plate. This is pretty normal. I've seen this with a lot of other plates as well. They're just a little tight on there. So if you're bending the switch a little bit, don't worry, you can just snap that right back. But if you're having a lot more trouble than you think you should, then I have a video on how to take out, remove, replace hot swappable switches right here that you can watch. But let me just say that the tactility of the Redragon brown switches really blew me out of the water. I was very surprised at how tactile it was. And as for the smoothness, it's really smooth. I have no complaints about that at all. And being the block switch that they are dustproof and waterproof, although you should not submerge your keyboard into water because that's not what that means. It's dust resistant and water resistant per se. So because it's hot swap, you can mod the stabilizers. They are cherry style stabilizers. They're not pre-lubed, but they sound pretty decent. They definitely need some kind of mod to them. Lube probably would help a lot. And then because the switches are all hot swap, you can take them apart as well. They use the Kale style switch housing to attach. So if you have a switch opener, then get the Kale one instead of the MX one. And then if you're using a flathead screwdriver, that will be hard. I highly don't recommend that. It's doable, but it's really hard and you're probably going to break a nail or two or three. As for stabilizers, the spacebar is the only allowed one. It doesn't really rattle, it just has some noise to it. And then the other ones sound pretty decent, but for a board of this price, it's not really a lot to complain about. And then sound, the case doesn't really echo. I believe that's because the switches are quite recessed in there with the plate, but it could benefit from a thin layer of foam like most keyboards. It sounds and feels really good. I would say if you're going to mod it, at least lube these springs because there is spring ping, and then mod these stabs at the least. And then at the most, of course, you can do all the mods. To find out more information on what you can do, see this video here on 5 different mods that'll make your keyboard sound and feel better. And Bluetooth, I've said before, it's really easy to connect. You turn it on and then you find a setting, and then from there you pick Bluetooth 1, 2, or 3. That's what the setting means. And then from there you should just be able to connect it on your PC to the board. It's really easy. When you turn the board off and turn it back on, it reconnects really quickly. Not too worried about that there. If you're doing any slow gaming, then yeah, Bluetooth is great. If you're doing competitive gaming where reaction and speed matters, then I highly recommend plugging it in. Sound test right now. And overall, it's a really wonderful keyboard for $65. Redragon has the K530 available on Amazon, and their website is available in black or white, and it has the Redragon box brown switches to work for gaming or typing. It's a pretty balanced experience. And then it does have NQ rollover, it does have anti-ghosting, it has some programmable keys, you can remap your keys. The cable's really nothing special, and the Bluetooth is 5.0 and is updated and quite quick. Overall, I just really like the look of this keyboard. It just feels and looks really premium, but it's also at a budget and very affordable price too. So I'm gonna say good job to Redragon. This keyboard really exceeded my expectations, but I guess my expectations were pretty low coming from their 25-ish dollar keyboards. I dig it. And the logo is on the top right of the keyboard. Really cool. Nothing too complain about, like their 552. I'm gonna link you guys to some of those old Redragon reviews that I did right here, and then to our ASMR playlist right here for different switch sounds if you're interested in hearing a different variety of switches. And subscribe here if you want to. I'll see you in the next one.